How to buy a home the Cone Realty Group Way.
There is a difference.
There's buying a home, and then there's buying a home with Cone Realty Group.
Hey, real quick, it's Hal and Kris. If you're interested in buying or selling in Roanoke, make sure you reach out to us with the contact information on the screen.
And be sure to take the neighborhood quiz that's in the description below to find out what part of Roanoke will be best for you. We're an award-winning real estate team based on client results and testimonials, and our mission is to provide expertise with Southern hospitality.
Yeah, and at Cone Realty Group, we have a VIP buyer plan that we can strategize and create just for you, that walks you through every single step of the process from concept to closing. And we're going to walk you through that so you're set up for success.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we like to think of ourselves as pilots, helping you navigate through each step of the way. And although there will be turbulence, you can count on that along the way. We're here to be your guide, your protector, and advocate for you.
We know how very huge of a decision moving is a big deal. And most people need some guidance along the way in buying a house, because chances are you don't do it every day and don't do it very often, but we do. And because it's a big financial investment for you, we know how significant it is.
But what if you need to sell your home too? Well, that's great. We've got a video on that, and we can help you do both, even if you're out of state. So now let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about buying a home. There's so many options and so many steps, but we're going to dive right in. We are here at Green Hill Park in Salem, and it's got a beautiful greenway. It's pretty hot today, but underneath the canopy of these trees, it feels perfect.
It does, and we're right along the Roanoke River, so we'll get a little breeze off of there too. So you gotta love Salem and Green Hill Park.
Yes, so let's talk about step number one. This is research and preparation. Really important factor here. You're gonna wanna decide on what your wants and needs are. I love it when clients come to me with an Excel spreadsheet, they're speaking my love language, and they say, I've already got a list of what we must have and what we want to have.
Yeah, and then next you want to make sure that you research location.
Yeah.
You know, consider factors like school districts, actual commute times, and neighborhood amenities. We always joke, you know, commute times in the Roanoke Valley, like you can be anywhere almost within 20 minutes from wherever you live.
It's
so
true.
That's a great thing. And then I just remembered as well, like one of our current clients, you know, they were adamant after all their research, all their analysis, like we've got to be in Salem or maybe Cave Spring. We're really drawn to Salem. And they ended up buying a house in Benton. Once they came here, they looked and they dug in more. So just make sure that you do a lot of recon. Once you start looking at things, it may change, and that's okay.
Yeah. The next step is to meet with Cone Realty Group. We've helped lots of people move here that live outside of our area and state, and local moves as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't just work with people from out of state. So if you're local, we can help you as well.
Yes, and we can meet in person or via Zoom, whatever's most convenient for you, but there has to be that face-to-face. That helps a lot.
Yeah, because that's where you truly make that connection. You can build that relationship on that front and make sure that it's a right fit for both parties.
Yes, yeah, and whomever you choose, we'd love to work with you, see if it's a good fit, like you said. If not, that's okay. But make sure you choose a professional local agent and someone that has experience in not only Virginia housing market, but in the local housing market that you bond with.
Yeah, and what we're saying here is make sure you do your due diligence on this. You don't want somebody that just sells 2 houses a year helping you with the biggest financial investment that you have on your books. You know?
Yes, agreed. And so when you're talking to your agent, you're going to want to communicate your preferences very clearly. Explain your needs, your budget, your preference. Make sure that it is a good fit and that you have all the details in place. They have the full picture.
Right, and you got to ask questions, right?
Oh, yes,
it's like, you know, ask specific questions. Ask to find out that they're going to meet the needs that you have, because you're going to have in your head probably, you're going to be like, man, I need to make sure my agent's doing X, Y, and Z. Make sure you ask questions that can ascertain that so that you are fully informed and make a super wise decision.
The next step is going to be getting pre-approved for a mortgage. In this step, you're really trying to understand your whole financial situation, and you're going to be speaking with a local lender preferably. Why is it important to have a local lender?
Super important, because they want to help you. They are part of the team to help you get to closing as smoothly as possible. When you're dealing with some of these national type of banks, They work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Typically.
And
yes.
when are you looking at houses traditionally?
Evenings
In
and
the
weekends.
evenings and weekends, right? So with that, you want somebody that's going to do that. And then also they'll go to bat for you. It's like, hey, we need to push things through. We need to do X, Y, and Z to get you to closing on time. They're going to make it happen. That's what our clients have seen super success with, is using a local bona fide lender.
Yeah, and I'll say too, I mean, you can probably pick up this theme. This is a relationship building process. I mean, you have to work with people that you trust and you know that will get the job done. So that goes for your lender as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to obtain a pre-approval from a lender to understand your borrowing capacity and make sure you're showing sellers that you're a serious buyer.
Yeah, and part of determining that borrowing capacity is going to be your budget, right? So
Yes.
like they're going to say, hey, you can afford, say, $1 million home. However, you're gonna, it may not be, that may be more than you want to actually pay per month that fits within your budget. And that's okay. We just had some clients recently that did the same thing. It's like their budget was way up here, but they're like, yes, as far as their pre-approval was way up here, and they're like, I want my payment to be down here. So we looked at houses that were cheaper than what the lender said they could afford, because that's what they wanted to do. So here at Cone Realty Group, we devise a plan and we stick to that plan and help you get exactly what you're looking for. Not anything that helps us out on that front. It's just like we're going to help you make the decisions that are best for you and your budget.
Yeah, we want you to be comfortable in your home, not house poor.
Yes.
So for the lender to be able to calculate this number for you, you're going to need your pay stubs, your W-2, bank statements, and they're going to be checking your credit score. A higher credit score can mean better mortgage rates. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, we always like the lower mortgage rate so that our payment can be just a little bit better long term. So getting all that intel to the lender is going to help them help you determine what your down payment needs to be to purchase a home. You can get 0% down payments if you're a veteran, all the way up to like 20%. So you don't have to have a ton of cash on hand to necessarily buy a home. So the lenders that our clients work with here locally will help you devise a plan that works for your budget and the money that you have in the bank right now. And if you don't have any money, they can help you strategize for 6 months out, a year out, to get to that point where you can actually be a bona fide home buyer here in the market. So don't take it for granted that having a conversation early is super important. And that's what we love to do and our lenders love to do so that you are set up for success.
Yes.
So like I said, you can have 0% down all the way up to 20% down. And then you also will need closing costs. And depending upon the loan product that you actually utilize, it can be anywhere from 3% to 5% of the purchase price that you'll have to have on hand on top of your down payment for closing costs to make that happen.
Yeah, and if you're paying cash for a home, you're going to need to supply proof of funds showing that you have the money available to pay for the house at closing. So we can talk you through what this looks like, but those proof of funds, again, we want to give the seller certainty that you're going to be closing because that's what they want. They want a closed home and you want a new home, so we're going to set you up for success.
So they have to know that you have cash on hand or you have a loan in place that a lender's going to give you to make that happen. And for your proof of funds on the cash side of things, that could actually be a bona fide letter from your financial planner or from your bank, or it could even be PDFs when you have that amount of money or more in a bank account. So you just got to be strong on that front to give them certainty because everybody wants to make sure they get to closing.
All right, so now that your foundation is in place, we are going to do the fun part. Let's go house hunting. I love it. Searching for homes is super fun. Our role at Cone Realty Group is to provide you with additional information and exclusive homes that haven't yet hit the market and things that you may not have really considered in your search. And we want to make sure that you are open to other suggestions and ideas to find that 85% perfect home. What does that mean?
Yeah, so 85% home. There is no perfect home. So if you can find a house that's like 85% of those wants and needs, then you are in great shape. And that's a home you should strongly consider making an offer on.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, people that have even bought new construction and crafted that new construction home, built it all them by themselves, and they say, oh, this is going to be great. They still move in and say, I wish I would have, or if only this. So there is really, truly no perfect home.
Yeah, and here at Cone Realty Group, we're going to help you compare homes. And the way that you can help us help you do that is by taking notes, taking photos, you know, filling in that spreadsheet, because Kris will have a spreadsheet for you probably.
Love it.
Because she loves it.
Yes.
But you can make notes. And what we normally do, we will do a process of elimination as we go through looking at houses each day. So we'll take A and B and we'll say, hey, if you were to make an offer today, not that you're going to, but if you were out of these two houses, which one would you make an offer on? Well, whichever one that one is, you keep A and you throw away B and just hide it and don't ever look at it again.
And one of my fun things to do is to give each house a nickname. It helps you because when you're looking at 5, 6, 12 homes, they can kind of jumble together, but those nicknames really help. This is super fun to do with the kids too. I like that. All right, so good news. You have found a house that you will love and you're ready to submit an offer.
Way to
That's
go.
exciting.
Yeah, woohoo.
So next is making that offer. You're going to want to determine your offer price, and based on market analysis, your budget, a lot of factors, including resale value. I mean, you may only want to be here 4 years, 5 years, and turn that into an investment property. Go ahead and start building your portfolio. We have clients wanting to do that. We'll take everything into consideration and work with you to strategically prepare a strong offer with price and terms that you choose.
Yeah, and along those lines, you know, note that every offer is going to look different based on the situation. For example, we will make sure that we call the listing agent on each and every home that you're going to put an offer in on, so that we can find out from them, like, what are the sellers looking for in that particular offer. The last time we had a listing, had 7 offers on it. I had 1 out of the 7 agents that actually called me to find out how can we create a winning offer on this property. So communication with the listing agent, we want to open that up from the very get-go so we can help you succeed in getting the home that you're looking for.
Yeah, and again, I hope you're hearing this theme with Cone Realty Group. Relationships are very important. We want to have good relationships and reputation with the other side, because you're going to be going through a lot with them. And that conversation at the beginning to understand the seller's motivations is really important.
Yeah, it sets the tone, and then we can set you up for a double, a triple, or a home run when it comes to that house, depending on how much you love it. And so expect us to start off on that front. Once we get that offer crafted, we'll review it with you. And then from there, you know, we'll actually start negotiations with the seller, right? So there's 3 levels of negotiations through the process here. You've got the actual contract itself initially.
Yes.
And we'll review that with you before you actually sign it. And then the next phases are inspection repairs. That's another step of negotiation after you're under contract, as well as the appraisal. If it's come in low, then there may be some negotiations that need to take place there. So once you get past that, negotiations are pretty much settled. But there is a lot of negotiation and communication that goes into actually purchasing a home.
Yes. Well, congratulations. Your offer has been accepted and you are officially under contract and in escrow. You and the seller have agreed to the price and terms of the contract, and we refer back to this contract quite often because it really lays out the framework. It lays out timelines, key dates, any of those really important things, your rights and responsibilities as a buyer, and the sellers too. Yeah, and another thing, before we even submit that offer, we're going to go through that contract item by item so you know exactly what you're going to be signing. Not all realtors do that. But essentially, the house has been held for you until closing.
Yeah, and so during this process, you're going to secure your financing by submitting your final loan application to the lender you've chosen, and make sure during this time frame, once you're under contract, don't change anything with your financial status. Don't open up new credit cards. Don't go buy a lot of things. Don't quit your job. We've had people quit their jobs a day or 2 before closing, and guess what? They do a final verification whether you have a job or not, and if you don't have it, guess what? You're not going to close on that house, and you could be in default on that contract. Don't be that person.
No. The next step is going to be some final details. And although it sounds like you're really close, you still have a couple big hurdles that you need to cross over. But don't worry, we're experienced in both of these and we'll help you navigate through them.
Yeah, so let's start off with inspections, right? So, of course, no brainer, home inspection. Also in the Roanoke Valley, you're going to want to do a radon inspection. And then if it's on well and septic, you want to do inspections related to those. And then also, if it's an older home, you may want to consider doing a sewer scope to make sure that there's nothing wrong with that sewer line, because that could be thousands of dollars after the fact that you didn't actually know about when you bought the house. So make sure and create a plan of attack for all the inspections that might be necessary on the house that you've chosen.
Yeah, we'll walk you through that too. And then hurdle number 2 is going to be the appraisal. The lender will require an appraisal to determine the home's market value. So this is when they're going to check it out, make sure that what they're funding is actually market value. So that appraisal will come back either at, above, or under purchase price.
If it comes under, depending upon how the contract's written, then we may have to do some negotiations there to make sure that you get to closing, you and the seller get on the same page.
Yeah. Another important one of these things in the final details is setting up utilities. Don't forget to arrange for your electricity, water, gas, and other services to be transferred to your name and the right date,
Yeah.
right?
And we are experienced at this, like we said, so we'll make sure to send you an email. Our transaction coordinator, Judy, is awesome at making sure she gives you the intel you need to set you up for success, to get your utilities changed, make sure you do a change of address, and those types of things.
Yeah, and then lastly, you're going to review the closing disclosure. This is a document that outlines your whole loan terms and closing costs. Check that over. Your realtor will be checking that as well and have you set up for success with closing. So you made it through the inspections and the appraisal. Now you're closing in on the finish line. Next is going to be a final walkthrough. This is an opportunity for you to inspect the property and make sure it's in the same condition as y'all agreed upon.
And whatever you saw at the inspection itself when you were there, and if there were any repairs that were done, that those were completed, right, satisfactorily and by a licensed contractor. And then once you've done that a couple of days before closing, it's time to sit down at the closing table and sign your final documents.
You know, it's funny. I think a lot of people aren't sure what to expect, but it would just be you. The seller will not be present at the closing table. So you'll be signing all the necessary paperwork, paying those closing costs at the title company or attorney's office, and then the deed gets recorded. And that's recorded at the local courthouse, making you the official owner of the property.
Yeah, and the recordation takes place once everybody's funds have transferred and all that stuff. So in Virginia, here in the Roanoke Valley, unless it's spelled out otherwise, you truly own the property after it records. So let's say you sign paperwork at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. That house is not going to record that day. So you really should not be moving in that weekend. So we always recommend sign your closing paperwork early in the day and make sure your funds are there so that you can record the same day and then take ownership later that evening.
Which means you get to move in, organize your move, and settle into your new home. This is the exciting time, and we hope you have enjoyed this process of walking through buying a home with the Cone Realty Group.
We'll see you on the next video.